It all began as a dare. Today, the challenge remains the same. TNT drivers travel thousands of miles each year to see who will be able to make that last 50 feet. It's the fastest growing motorsport in the country, and you're about to see why. This week, we take you to Cleveland, Ohio for the running of the big 7,200 modified tractors. Then, 8 of the biggest, baddest monster trucks in the country face off in a run for the championship title. We'll be right back with our first pulling event.
TNT's World of Power roars into your living room with explosive home video action. It's the stars of the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series, plus the country's hottest and meanest car-crushing monster trucks, and the grime and glory of mud racing, all on one VHS video cassette. Send check or money order for $24.95 to this address, or charge it to your Visa or MasterCard by calling 1-800-227-3167.
There's nothing like them in any other motorsport today. The Super 7200 modified dragster tractors. The big 30-inch rear tires spin at speeds of up to 150 miles an hour, driven by as many as 4 full-blown drag rail engines. Their brute power is unmatched by any other division competing in the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series. First up tonight at the throttle of Old Red is John Heileman out of Rockford, Ohio. They'll be running tonight on a short 150-foot track, but the increased weight on the big sled will more than compensate for the difference in distance. Up until just a few minutes ago, John was making last-minute adjustments, fine-tuning the 3 engines that power Old Red. Now he has to make his final judgment on the condition of the track. Years of pulling experience go into these last-minute decisions that can either make you or break you. We'll see if John Heileman has made the right choices as the flagman prepares to signal the start.
Green flag, go down for him.
A full pull for John Heileman. The rest will have to match it to stay alive.
Oh, John Heileman, that was a sweet run. You got to feel good.
Oh, it felt real good. I wouldn't turn it down no way. It was a good run.
This 150-foot track like an indoor track suits you fine here in the 7,000-pound class.
Yes, the tractor's working well. Tractor's working real well on a short track.
Well, I'll tell you, it's going to be hard to catch you. There's some guys back there that can do it, but if we go into a pull-off, you certainly have to be a favorite. Your engines ran so well tonight.
Yes, we made some changes for the air. There's 2 more guys back there. 3. There's going to be a pull-off. There'll be a pull-off for sure.
Next up is Wayne Sullivan aboard the mighty Kentuckian. This is a beautiful machine that maintains the classic look of the old farm tractor in its design. Wayne is following John Heileman's lead and lining up on the left side. He's examining the track closely. He knows he has to go the full distance to match Heileman and get into the pull-off. The pressure is on.
Sullivan trying to put a win under his belt with the Kentuckian.
A breakdown and a tough break for Wayne Sullivan. Let's find out what the problem was.
Wayne Sullivan heartbreaking about the 75-foot mark. What happened to the Kentuckian?
The front motor broke a rod, I think, and got a little hole in the front oil pan, so...
Oh, that's a little serious. A picture window.
Oh, yeah, we got to go home and put another motor in and go again.
It's flame-on time as Robert Sossin and the flying machine pull onto the track. The flying machine gets its name from the big jet turbine that powers it. Its distinctive plume of fire and high-pitched hum mark it as unmistakably different from the rest. It may not be as loud as most of the other modifieds, but don't let that fool you. Robert has added extra weight up front to keep the nose down and harness the turbine's full power.
Green flag goes out for him. How about it, Ohio? Let's get behind him. Let's let him know we're here. Come on, let's get on our feet. Put Sullivan on the other end. He's better with the big boys on the TNT Redman All-American Pulling Series.
A disappointing run for Robert Sossin. He couldn't get the flying machine off the ground tonight.
Well, I tell you, it sounded like we were at Cleveland Hopkins Airport here tonight. The motor makes a lot of horsepower out there. It's a very smooth engine, but you got your work cut out for you here tonight in Cleveland Stadium.
Right, I did, but I had the tractor weighted wrong. It was my fault all the way.
All right, how would you have weighted the tractor differently?
A little lighter on the front.
A little lighter in the front.
Right.
One of the things in pulling, you've got to take a chance.
Right, and I just took mine and weighted it wrong, that's all.
Paul Norman from Charlotte, North Carolina is getting the war wagon into position for the next pull. His only hope is to go the full length of the track and force John Heilemann into a pull-off. He has the equipment to do it. The three big engines that power the war wagon are in prime condition, fully aired and ready to roll. Top-line equipment is useless without a good driver, and Paul is one of the best. Here's his run. Paul Norman has sent this one into extra innings. He'll have to take on Heilemann in the pull-off.
Paul Norman, a very happy and a sweaty and a dirty guy, but after you make a full pull like that, you don't care, do you?
No, you don't care. It's all worth it.
It's all worth it. I tell you, got Heilemann worried now with his triple-engine dragster tractor. But I tell you, when you come to play in this class, you better come prepared with horsepower.
Yeah, like they say, you better come loaded for bear. Bruce Hutchinson sitting back here with 4 motors. He'll give us a run for the money, so I expect a three-way pull-off.
All right, now, it looked like you bounced a little bit. Did you have any handling problems off the line?
Not really. The starting line's starting to go away a little bit. It was a little heavy on the nose, but I think we can compensate for that for the pull-off and come back all right.
Bruce Hutcherson and the Macon Bacon Special are the last contestants with a chance to make it into the pull-off. Bruce is running 4 big areas, especially for this run. He's pulled his back engine and substituted 2 others, offset in the rear position. He hopes it will give him the extra kick he needs to master the weight of the sled. He's also lined up to the left, which seems to be the choice of the track. Let's see if he can put it all together and make it work.
Let's see if he can do it right now. Green flag's out.
The 4 big areas go the distance for Bruce Hutcherson and get him into the 3-way pull-off.
Bruce Hutcherson, there's a radio station in Cincinnati that says, we don't mess around. Hey, and you didn't mess around tonight. You really gave it all it was worth, and those 4 engines came to life. You didn't waste any time.
No, I just kind of rolled out the whole lean on the throttle there, Dave, and it just left. I'm running a little lighter in the pull-off. We'll see what happens.
All right, you've got tough competition in the pull-off. You got a couple of 3-engine dragster tractors. It's going to be a dogfight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a dogfight. I probably got too many motors. Should have taken these 2 off and put the top one on.
We'll be right back for the pull-off in the battle of the 7200 modified tractors. They're gearing down the sled in preparation for the pull-off in the 7200 modified tractor division here in Cleveland. John Heilemann in Old Red will be up first. He pulled the big sled out of here on his first run, but he'll have considerably more drag fighting him this time. He's lining up on the right side of the track. No one has had any success on the right side tonight, but maybe he knows something we don't. The ability to read the track is essential to success in the pulling game. The chain is tight, and he's ready to go. Getting off the line, but a good run for John Heilemann. The question is, will it be enough?
Well, John Heilemann heading for our microphone here at trackside. A great run. Remember, he made a super pull in the first round of competition. And, John, I guess the big question is right now, you got Paul Norman and you got Hutcherson on your tails with 3 and 4 motors respectively. Do you think your run is going to hold up?
Oh, I don't think it didn't get out of the hole good. I tried the opposite side of the track. I don't think that was a hot setup. It didn't come out of the hole as fast as I wanted. It took too long to get moving. Now, it's an awful short track, but I think you'll see the higher horsepower, the Aries motors making more horsepower, and the 4 up. I think it's going to be hard on me tonight.
As they smooth out the track, Paul Norman is pulling the war wagon into position to hook up for his run. Paul's 3 engines deliver plenty of power to drive the big tires at maximum RPM. But power is nothing without the proper weight distributed around the chassis. Paul has moved 100 pounds off the front end to hopefully give him the advantage he needs. He knows what he has to do, but will his strategy meet the challenge? An excellent run by Paul Norman. He's beaten out John Heilemann by just a few inches.
Oh, Paul Norman, I tell you, he likes to turn the tires fast. Paul, I got to ask you, what kind of tire speed do you have with the war wagon?
Should be about 130, 135 mile an hour.
All right, now once again, we observed from here at the end of the track, it looks like you had handling problems out on the tractor.
We moved 100 pounds back for the pull-off. She was still too nose heavy. It could have easily stood 200 back.
All right, do you think this is going to hold up, or do you think Hutcherson's is going to ease it out the end again?
I don't even think we got John, did we? I don't know. It was awful close between John and myself, I think. But Bruce will blow it out the end.
As he backs up to the sled, Bruce Hutcherson has his work cut out for him. His 4-engine setup got him into the pull-off. But do they have the power necessary to beat the mark set by Paul Norman? Let's see if the 4 big Aries can pull the big sled to victory. Bruce Hutcherson has survived the pull-off to win it all in the 7200 modified tractor division.
As Bruce Hutcherson is climbing out of the tractor, I want to take just the opportunity to look at just how well these machines are built. They've had the 30.5-inch tires back here to get a bite in the track. The weights are back there as Bruce steps on the weights to get down off the tractor. The heavy weights to hold the tractor down to make the weight class. And then the big hitches down there. And I tell you, put it all together with brute horsepower, and you've got a heavy-duty machine, and then you put a driver in the seat like this guy, and you've got a winning combination. I tell you, congratulations, but it wasn't all that easy, was it?
No, they made me work for it there. It didn't want to leave off the line. I just leaned on it and turned the tires. It just burned it out.
Okay, you burned it out. Was there one spot on the track that was better than another in this class?
Well, there was a soft spot right there in the middle, and you needed to straddle that to get out of the hole, and once you got out there, it was the same.
You really have come on strong here in the last couple of months on the TNT Redman circuit. The engines are performing superbly.
Yeah, the motors are in good shape. We found out what it takes to keep them together. The tires are working, the chassis is working. I'm not going to change anything, Dave.
All right, good luck at your next event. Bruce Hutcherson, the winner here tonight at Cleveland, Ohio, at the Motor Nationals, brought to you by Coors and Nationwide. He wins it in the dragster tractor class.
The heavy modified tractor class, 2 pullers have emerged from the pack to battle for the points title. And they represent 2 different concepts in the sport. Leo K has a state-of-the-art machine with 5 huge aluminum Aries engines, producing 10,000 horsepower. Certainly among the strongest on the Redman TNT circuit. But he's fighting to keep pace with Dave Banner, a wily veteran whose tractor produces significantly less horsepower, less than 7,500. As these 2 campaign down to the last hook of the season, power and experience have each tasted disappointment on some days and enjoyed other days when they were truly unbeatable. The grime and glory of mud racing comes to Charlotte, North Carolina Coliseum next month. And the Indiana Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis hosts a pulling and monster truck racing spectacular November 14th.
Mad Dog with John Breen at the wheel. Star Monster driven by Daniel Tassone. Terminator piloted by Jerry Richmond. Crimson Crusher with Dale Hancock at the wheel. Crimson Giant driven by Marvin Smith. Clydesdale driven by Bennett Clark out of Powder Springs, Georgia. And Bigfoot with Rich Hooser of St. Louis, Missouri at the wheel. And TNT's own Stomper Bull at the controls, Gail Mefford of Madison, Indiana. They're the biggest, they're the best, and they're all here in Cleveland to settle once and for all the question of who is the champion of the monster trucks. Terminator and Stomper are completing the final time trials to determine the pairings for this single elimination contest. This promises to be a monster truck spectacular, the likes of which are rarely seen. These 4x4x4 super rigs will be competing over a course of brutal obstacles. There you have it. The field is set and the teams are making a last-minute check to be sure all systems are go for this grueling test of man and machine. First up is none other than the Stomper Bull Chevy, lining up on the left, going against a Bigfoot Ford on the right. It's a classic battle of Ford versus Chevy, a down-and-dirty dogfight between two old war horses who faced each other hundreds of times. Now they meet each other in the ultimate monster truck showdown, where only one will come out alive.
Right here, ladies and gentlemen, Cleveland Municipal Stadium brought to you by Coors Beer, the nationwide auto parts motor national Bigfoot Stomper Bully. What's the price of admission right here, side by side, first round elimination? Cleveland, look left, look right, green flag, and stop.
Bigfoot powers across the finish line first. Stomper lost its head on a big bounce and couldn't get under control fast enough to beat out the monster Ford. Bigfoot and driver Rich Hooser have given the Ford fans a thrill they won't soon forget. Bigfoot survives the first test and moves on to the second round.
Like I say, those guys are best of friends. I tell you, the last monster truck battle was like a gunfight.
Meanwhile, first round competition continues with a second heat. The Terminator Bronco with Jerry Richmond at the wheel is up on the starting line. He's going against the Crimson Crusher Ford driven by Dale Hancock. They're ready and waiting for the green. Win for the Crimson Crusher. Terminator was slow getting out of the hole and unable to catch up to the big Ford. A top break for Terminator, but Jerry Richmond will be back and ready to fight another day. The Crusher wins the right to advance in the competition, but he's really got his work cut out for him. He'll have to face Bigfoot in round 2. Up for the next heat, it's the Battle of the Chevys. Clydesdale and driver Bennett Clark came in last in the time trials, and they're up against tough competition from Marvin Smith and the Crimson Giant. But anything can happen between here and the checkered flag. They're on the line and ready to roll. Clydesdale on the left, Crimson Giant on the right. Crimson Giant wins it as Clydesdale breaks down in the middle of the course. These monster rigs have to stand up to incredible punishment, making this as much a test of equipment endurance as driver skill. The Crimson Giant advances to the next round with an impressive win. Clydesdale broke a tie rod coming down off a high bounce, and it has cost Bennett Clark the race. It's hard to see how any suspension system could withstand this punishment. Tire pressure becomes an important factor. The oversized, underinflated tires absorb a great deal of the shock. The last heat of the first round pits Daniel Tassone and Star Monster against Mad Dog Chevy Convertible. You can bet Rich Hooser is watching. He knows he may have to go against one of these boys in the final. Mad Dog leads Star Monster in the cloud of dust for an easy win. Star Monster stalled in the middle of the course, giving Mad Dog a chance to run again in the second round. This race for the championship is taking a heavy toll on these machines.
Anderson adjustment, the name of the vehicle.
The pairings are set for the second round runoff. Bigfoot versus Crimson Crusher, and Mad Dog versus Crimson Giant. Which trucks will be able to survive and make it to the finals? We're about to find out as Bigfoot and Crimson Crusher pull up to the starting line. The excitement is building as we get closer to finding out which will be the best of the monster trucks. Bigfoot moves into an early lead as Crimson Crusher stalls just off the starting line. But now Bigfoot is stalled out too. They may have to call this one a draw. And the Crusher is rolling again and passing the disabled Bigfoot. Rich Hooser may not be able to bring the Big Ford around in time. Unbelievable. The Crimson Crusher has ripped its front suspension apart on that big bounce. Crimson Crusher is out of it for good, disabled in mid-track. While Bigfoot remains stranded with ignition problems. It's going to take more than brute power and driving skill to win this championship. The winning truck will have to survive 4 passes over this punishing obstacle course. Crusher sustained far too much damage to continue, but Bigfoot is running again. Although Crimson Crusher has technically won this heat, its broken front end will keep it out of the running. Bigfoot moves into the finals by default. The last run of the second round, Crimson Giant on the left, Mad Dog on the right. One of them will win the privilege of facing Bigfoot in the finals to compete for the title of world champion. Mad Dog wins a close race and advances into the finals.
Don't ever think for a minute that a TNT Tour is not competition at its best. These guys are going head-to-head.
2 have survived to fight it out for the #1 spot.
Green drivers, best of friends, flags up. Let's see what's going to happen. Fordham on the inside, Chevrolet on the outside. No! Oh, big run. Good job. Look at Hooker.
A close race right down to the finish line, but the Ford Bigfoot takes the checkered flag. Once again, Rich Hooser has taken Bigfoot all the way to the top to win the championship crown. And Ford fans love it.
Ball's down awfully close for John Wayne.
The power is awesome. The Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series. From the tough little minis to the 11,000-pound Monster Modified. From the 4-wheel drive Modified to the 2-wheel drive Super Modified. We've got them all. More horsepower than you've ever witnessed in action. Join us again next week for the most powerful sport on Earth.